No sé si fue hoy. So, lo que él hizo, no sé lo que él hizo.
En los settings hizo algo.
No fue los settings, él.
Oh, para.
Está atascado.
Hi, Ernie.
Terry, hi.
Good evening.
Before we start, what's tomorrow?
Tomorrow, I would like to learn at 8 in the morning.
All right.
8 in the morning, okay.
Okay. We're on Dalad Amid Aleph. Amr le Rav Yochanan Reish Lakish. Bishma, there's a machlokes. Rav Yochanan learns out the din of the separating the Kohen Gadol from the Miluim, and Reish Lakish learns it out from Har Sinai. So Rav Yochanan says to Reish Lakish, Bishma l'didi, it works out good according to me, the Alfina Miluim, that we learn it out from the Miluim. Hainu detanya zeva zem mazin alav kol shiva. In both cases, both by the Paraduma and the Kohen Gadol, before Yom Kippur, so mazin alav kol shiva mikol chato shahayusham. With any of the Paraduma ashes that were in the Beis Hamikdash, they would sprinkle every day of those 7 days, just in case this was the 7th day of Tumah from the previous week. And Avinami Hazah b'miluim. Every day there was Hazah, there was sprinkling by the Miluim as well. Ela ledidcha, but according to the way you're learning, the Yolaf Sinai, that it's learned from Har Sinai, Hazah b'Sinai mi'av, there was no sprinkling by Har Sinai. Omer le, Rabbi Reish Lakish responded, l'tamech minicha. According to your reasoning, it doesn't work either, because b'miluim dam, by the Miluim, they sprinkled the coin with dam and hachamayim, so it's not the same. Water replaced dam. They're both called hazah. But there was no hazah by Sinai. So Reish Lakish says, that's not a me'ikar adin. It was a special maila, an elevation by Tumah v'Tahara because of the, but not me'ikar adin. Tanya Kavas Rab Yochanan, Tanya Kavas Reish Lakish. There's a baraisa to support both shitas. Tanya Kavas Rab Yochanan. It says Bezos Yavo Aaron ala Kodesh. With this shall Aaron go. B'masha Amar B'inyan. What's Bezos? That which is discussed. B'inyan Demiluim. Ma Amar B'inyan Demiluim Aaron Pira Shiva V'Shima Shem Echad. Just like by the Miluim, Aaron separated for 7 days and worked for 1 day. The Moshe Rabbeinu taught him all the halachas of the korbanos to teach him. Same thing before the Yom Kippurim. They would separate the Kohen Gadol for 7 days. Mitamidim shel Moshe lafuke tzdukin, the Prussian, the Talmidim of Moshe Rabbeinu, not the tzdukim Moshe from Kol Shiva K'nei L'chancha B'avoda. Okay. Mikan Amru, from here we learn Shivas Yomim Korim Yom Kippurim, Mafrishin Kohen Gadol Mibeis L'Lishkas Parhedrin. Prior to Yom Kippur, they separated him for 7 days to the Lishka Parhedrin. Uchashem Shem Mafrishin Kohen Gadol, Kach Mafrishin Kohen HaSofer Tzapara L'Lishka. The coin that's going to burn the Parah Aduma is also going to be separated Shalpnei Abira to the office Tzafonim Mizracha that was northeast. In both situations, every day of the 7 days, they would sprinkle May Parah, the Mayim sprinkled with ashes of Ephra Parah every day. The Im Toimer Bim, and then maybe you'll tell me, how could they do that? B'miluim dam hachamayim, sprinkling by the miluim was with blood. why the paradum is mayim, amrit, nichlas umayim, the dam, that eventually water took the place of dam. Then for some reason, the Baraisa gives another pasuk. The oimer, kasher asa bayom hazeh, tziva Hashem lasos l'chaper alechem. Lasos elu ma'aser para. L'chaper elu ma'aser Yom Kippurim. Okay. That's the Baraisa. Now the Gemara asks some questions on the Baraisa. So how can you learn bezos means that it refers to the miluim? V'hai bezos maboyle legufe. You need the bezos with this. What's this? Befar ben boker lechatas v'aylo. With these korbanos, Kohen Gadol goes in. Amri, if the bezos was going to teach me only korbanos, ila korban lechudei, you didn't need to say bezos, which is feminine. Lema kra bezeh or be'ele, my bezos, shmami notarti. So we learned both of the halachas, not on just the korbanos, but also on the prisha, the separation. So then the Gemara asks, my va'omer, why was this extra pasuk needed? You already taught it to me from the words bezos. Maybe the first Yom Kippur ever done, that's when they needed prisha. Like the Ashkechan b'miluim. The miluim ceremony was done once in history when they erected the Mishkan. So maybe also, just like that was a once in a lifetime thing, maybe the first time they do the avodah of Yom Kippur, they do the prisha. Yom Kippur da'amalo, but every year Yom Kippur they wouldn't. Or Inami Kohen Gadol Kama, the first Kohen Gadol ever appointed, will boy prisha. Well, Kohen Gadol ba'amalo loy. Toshma kasher also, that teaches me ledoiros, even for future generations, you have to separate the Kohen Gadol no matter what. Tanya Kavos Reish Lakish, there's a brisa like Reish Lakish, who learned out the din hafrosha from Har Sinai. Moshe alabit anan. Moshe went up in the cloud. Viniskasa ba'anan, he was covered with the cloud. Viniskadesh ba'anan, he was sanctified in the cloud. It's like almost being enveloped, like going into a mikveh, so that he would be makabel the Torah in a state of kedusha. Shneimar, vayishkon kvod Hashem al Har Sinai. The cloud of glory rests on Har Sinai. Now, according to the Tanakhama, Zaya Maisa Achras Dibros. Everything that is happening here happened after the receiving of the Torah, receiving of the Dibros, which was Shahayut Chilal Arboim Yoim, Div Rabbi Yosef Glili. Rabbi Yosef Glili says that Moshe Rabbeinu enters into the cloud the day after they received Aser Sadibros. And then he's there for 40 days, keeping receiving the Torah. But he had to separate for 6 days before he entered the cloud. Rabbi Kiva Oimer, Vayishkon Kvod Ad Hashem, when did the cloud settle? Is Mirash Chodesh Sivan. Vaychaseu Hanan Lahar, and the cloud immediately covered the mountain, not Moshe. Then Vayikra El Moshe, he called out to Moshe, Moshe B'chol Yisrael Omdim. And that nothing happened. Moshe doesn't go anywhere. That's to imply that Moshe and Yisrael are standing at the foot of the mountain. They hear that Moshe was called to. Now, if Moshe is not called to climb the mountain, if it was specifically to honor Moshe that Hashem is calling out to Moshe. Rav Nasan Oimer, that he was called into the cloud has nothing to do with prisha. It was like a cleansing process, because Moshe Rabbeinu did not eat for 40 days, 40 nights. So they had to sort of clean out his intestines. To make him like a malach. Rav Maseh ben Chorash Oimer, to sort of terrorize him. and of Emas Hashem. Kadeshe Torah nitenes be'ema, with fear, bereseis, shaking, uvizeh, sweating. Shenamar ivdos Hashem b'yira, serve God in fear, v'gilu b'ra'ada, be happy also in fear. Now, how do you be happy in fear? My gilu v'ra'ada. Amr Vada Bar Masla, Amr Rav b'mkom gila, sham tehei ra'ada. That means you shouldn't have hoilulus when you're happy. If you're happy through simcha shel mitzvah, you'll also have yira shamayim. So what really is the machlokas? My kamifliki Rabbi Yosef Li Rabbi Kiva. The pluktidan tanoi. They're arguing the following fundamental machlokas. The Tanya. B'shisha b'chodesh nitna Torah Yisrael. The Tanakama of this brisa says that the Torah was given on Vav Sivan. Rabbi Yossi Omer b'Shiva Bo. They gave it on, because Vav Sivan that year was Friday, and Moshe asked for another day, so it should be given on Shabbos. Now, Manda Omer b'Shisha, the one who said Shisha b'Shisha Nitna, so it was the Aseret HaDibros were given on the 6th. Uv'Shiva Allah, and then Moshe Rabbeinu went up on the 7th. T'chsiv, Vayikra Moshe Bayom Hashvi. Mandamer B'Shiva, the Rabbi Yossi holds that B'Shiva Nitna, the Aseret HaDibros were given on the 7th of Sivan. He went up on the same day, V'Shiva Allah. T'chsiv, Vayikra Moshe Bayom Hashvi. And now we understand the machlokas between Rabbi Yossi Egli and Rabbi Kiva. Rabbi Yosef Glili Sarva Lo Ketana Kama Domer B'Shisha B'Chodesh Nitna Torah. Rabbi Yosef Glili holds that the Aseret HaDibros were given on Vav Siva. Zaya Ma'isa Achar Aseret HaDibros, like we learned on the previous daf, that all of that pasuk refers to things that happened after Aseret HaDibros. This Vayishkon Kvod Hashem Al Har Sinai V'Chaser Anan Sheshes Yomim was LeMoshe. That the cloud covered Moshe for 6 days after the giving of the Aseret HaDibros. And then Vayikra Moshe B'Yom Hashvi, on the 7th day, after he had been covered for 6 days, Hashem called out to Moshe. Why? L'kibulei shar Torah, to receive the rest of the Torah over 40 days, 40 nights. The Hashem, because if you're going to learn that the cloud coming down is Mirash Chodesh, and that the cloud covering is not Moshe, but rather Vaychaseohanan Lahar, it means covering the mountain, and then Vayikra Moshe Bayom Hashvi, and if it means that pasuk that Hashem called Moshe on Yom Hashvi, what Moshe l'kabolas kabilu mishisha? What do you mean he called him on the 7th day? They, according to the Tanakam of the Brisa that Rabbi Yossi holds, like the Aseret HaDibros were given on the 6th, and the cloud has already left. So therefore, the way Rabbi Yossi is learning, it all happened after 6 days, and then the 6 days either are part of the 40 days or not part of the 40 days, as we'll see soon. Now, Rabbi Kiva Savalak Rabbi Yossi, of our Brisa, that the Torah was given on the 7th. So what will fit for Rabbi Kiva is B'Shiva Asar B'Tamuz Nishtabra Luchos. On Yud Zayin Tammuz, Moshe broke the Luchos. How does that work out? Because you have Esrin Va'arba de Sivan, 24 days of Sivan, V'Shitzer de Tammuz, and 16 days, because from the 7th to the end of Sivan is 24 days. And V'Shitzer de Tammuz, 16 days of Tammuz now is 40. 24 plus 16 is 40. Melulu Arbon Yom Dave Bahar. That's the 40 days that he was in Har Sinai. Then he came down to V'Shitzer de Tammuz Nachis, came down. Also the Tavina Luchos, when he saw the Egel Azov, he broke the Luchos. El Rabbi Yosef Glili, the Omar Shisha, the Prisha of Arboin Dahar. But Rabbi Yosef Lili learned that he was covered by the cloud for 6 days after the 6th of Sivan. And then you have Arboin Dahar. So that he would not come down until Esrimut Las B'Tammuz Lo Yid Beluchos. According to that calculation, he wouldn't have come down until the 23rd of Tammuz. No. What was is the 6 days that he was in the cloud, that was 6, then he was are included in the 40 days. So he's only up on the mountain actually for 33 days, or actually 34 days. Omar. Vayikra Moshe. We learned Moshe v'Chol Yisrael oimdim. That means they were all standing at the foot of the mountain, and the kriya to Moshe was to give him kavod. Messiah Rabbi Lozer, Dam Rabbi Lozer, Vayikra Moshe. Moshe v'Chol Yisrael oimdim. Lo ba'akol v'chalek lo kavod leMoshe. It's an honorific for Moshe Rabbi. Meisvei. What do you mean they all heard his voice? Hashem. It says call lo. It says. Vayavo Moshe lo moed lidaber ito vayishmat hakol midaber elav me'al kaporet vaydaber elav. So the speaking is to him. Kol elav. Moshe shamu v'Chol Yisrael lo yishamu. Bnei Yisrael didn't hear the voice of Hashem. So lo kasha b'Sinai habo el moed. At Sinai, both Moshe and Klal Yisrael heard the voice of Hashem. The oil moed was only Moshe. Or iboy semen loy kasha, habekriya habedibur. That means the kriya, when God calls out to Moshe, then everybody hears. But a dibur, that's only by the beri lav, that's only to Moshe. Rav Zrika Rami Kroy Kamed Rabbi Lozer. Rav Zrika showed a steerim psukim. Vari Lam Rav Zrika Rabbi Lozer Rami. Ksiv lo yachol Moshe lavo lamoed. Moshe could not enter into Olmoed. Kishachan lavanan. The cloud prevented him from coming in. Uksiv. Vayavo Moshe b'sochanan. Yet it says here he can enter the cloud. So what do we learn from there? Melamed shetofsa Kodesh Baruch Hu leMoshe v'vio ben. Kodesh Baruch Hu himself sort of grabbed Moshe and brought him into the tent. The Rabbi Shmuel Tana, Nemarkan besoch, v'nemer lahalam besoch, vayavo b'nei Yisrael besoch hayam, went through Yamsuf. Now, there they didn't walk on the water. The water opened up and there was a path open for them. Malal and Shvil, dichsiv hamayim lehem choma, the waters on either side were a wall. Afkan Shvil. Here as well, when Moshe didn't enter the cloud, there's a Shvil that opens up, a path that opens up where he's traveling when he's in the cloud. Then in the beginning of Sefer Vayikra, it says, Vayikra el Moshe, Vaydaber Hashem elav me'ol moed le'mor. Lama higdim kriya l'dibur. Why is the word kriya before the word dibur? Limda tor derech eretz. Shlo yoma adam davar l'chaver lim ken koreu. I don't say something to Harold without first calling here. Harold, I have something to say to you. And I say something to him. You don't just blurt something out. It's etiquette. It's politeness. That's terech eretz. Messiah Rav Chanina, Rav Chanina, lo yomer adam davar l'chavero, elam ken koreu. You shouldn't say something to your friend unless you call him. Then what's the pshat leimor? Rav Musya bar Breda Rav Masi Mishmeid Rav Musya Rabba Minayin la Oimer Darach Haver Shu Beval Yoimar. When you say something to your friend, he's not allowed to say it to other people unless you tell that person, oh yeah, you can tell it to somebody else. That's from this word leimor. Ad Shiomelach Lechemor Shnemer Vaydaber Shem Elav Me'ol Moed Leimor. It's only because Hashem gave him permission through leimor that Moshe had permission to say further. And that's how you have to be with other people as well. So it comes out, both Reish Lakish and both Rabbi Yochanan, Michlal de Tarvainu Svirlu, Miluim Kol HaKosav and Makeben. Any restriction or geder or rule that was attached to the Miluim process had to be done, otherwise it wouldn't work. Because the Itmar Miluim, where do we learn out the Hafrasha from Miluim? Rav Yochanan Rav Chanina Chadamar, Kol HaKosav and Ma'akev. Any rule written by the Miluim that you didn't do, it ruined the process. No, the Chadam Adavra Ma'akev L'Doiris, the certain things that were done in the Miluim that are done for future generations, those things, if you didn't do, Ma'akev. Certain activities, She'ein Ma'akev L'Doiris, that will not cause something to be ruined for future generations. Those things, if you didn't do them by the Miluim, it would not ruin it. And the Gemara is going to prove Tistayim the Rabbi Yochanan the Omar Kol HaKosav and Ma'akev. Everything mentioned by the Miluim, if you don't do it, it ruins it. Why? Midik Amar le Rabbi Shimon ben Lakish Rabbi Yochanan Imam Miluim Kol HaKosav and Ma'akev and V'lo Kamadar le V'lo Midi. Reish Lakish had said to Rabbi Yochanan, you know what? All the rules by the Miluim have to be fulfilled. If not, doesn't work. And Rabbi Yochanan did not respond to Stayim that Rabbi Yochanan holds that anything that was done by the Miluim had to be done. So my binayu. So what's the halacha difference between these two Amiroim that says Kol HaKosav and Ma'akev versus not? That we'll learn tomorrow. So tomorrow we're going to learn at 8 in the morning. Okay? 8 in the
Okay.
morning.
Okay,
And
very
then-
good.
And then